Hi, Professor. Maybe this is the first time you see me, right? First of all, I would like to thank you for giving me new experience in the last course. It helps me a lot in exploring the vast and endless universe. I also apologize for my English is not good, so the presentation will have many errors. Please forgive me. Now I would like to present my oral exam with question how to reimagine the greater God's relation to the universe in a general way, facing the revolution in modern science. The necessity to reimagine the greater God's relation to the universe is indisputable. It is a very usual for the atheist, agnostic, skeptic. It leads to new perspectives, horizon concerning God. That is, God is a continuous creator. Whether God exists in this rapid development, it depends on our behaviors, ways of processing, and even beliefs. It also raises the question concerning the problem of language and reality in which we call God. Appreciating the humanity and finitude of human beings, God is and really is far beyond our scientific discovery on the one hand, and He, on the other hand, is merriment in many matter, bright spirit of this universe. Now I would like to present three main points. Firstly, essential dependence of the universe on God. Secondly, divine immersions and transcendence. Third, possibility of the supernatural. I will go to the first part. In developing the argument, the first course, we have seen that the world is essentially dependent on God, and this dependence implies in the first place that God is the creator of the world, the producer of its whole being or substance, and in the next place, supposing its production, that its continuance in being at every moment is due to his sustaining power. Creation means the total production of being out of nothing, the bringing of a being into existence to replace absolute non-existence. And the relation of creator is the only conceivable relation in which the infinite can stand to the finite. Fantastic theories we could represent the variety of being in the universe as so many determinations or emanations or traces of one the same self-same internal reality. Substance according to Spinoza, pure ego according to Fichte, the absolute according to Sterling, the pure idea or logical concept according to Hegel, simply bristol with the contradictions and involved. As he has stated already, a denial of distinction between the finite and the infinite, and the relation of creator to created remains the same even though the possibility of internal creation be admitted. The infinite must be the producer of the finite, even though it be impossible to freak a time at which production may not already have taken place. For certain knowledge of the fact that created being and time itself had a definite beginning in the past, we can afford to rely on a revelation on your, as already stated. Science suggests the same fact. It is also clear that if the universe depends on God for its production, it must also depend on Him for its conservation or continuance in being. And this truth will perhaps be best presented by explaining the method principle of divine immersions are corrected and counterbalanced by the equally important principle of divine transcendence. Secondly, divine immersions and transcendence. To this is the attribute the view, or at last a tendency towards the view, that God, having created the universe, needs it to pursue its own course according to strict laws and ceases, so to speak, to take any further interest in or responsibility for what may happen. Anyway, immersions new acts, sometimes too strongly, in opposition to this view. God is immanent or intimately present in the universe because His power is required at every moment to certain creatures in being and to concourse with them in their activities. Conversation and concurses are, so to speak, continuation to creative activity and imply an equally intimate relation of God towards creatures, or rather an equally intimate and unceasing dependence of creatures on God. Whatever creatures are, they are by virtue of God's conserving power. Whatever they do by virtue of God's concursus. It is not, of course, denied that creatures are two causes and produce real effects, but they are only secondary causes. Their efficiency is always dependent and derived. God has the first cause, is an ever active cooperator in their actions. This is true even of the free act of an intelligent creature like man. Only it should be added in this case that divine responsibility ceases at the point where sin or moral evil enters sin. Since in as such, however, is an imperfection, no limitations in thus imposed on God's supremacy, but has insistence on divine immanence should degenerate into pantheism. And there is a tendency in this direction on the part of many modern creators. It is important at the same time to emphasize the truth of God's transcendence, to recall, in other words, God has been stated several times already that God is one simple and infinitely perfect person, being whose nature and action in their proper character as divine infinite, transcend all possible modes of the finite, and cannot, without contradiction, be formally identified with this. Third, possibility of the supernatural. For a theory of nature, we have inferred the existence of God and deduced certain fundamental truths regarding his nature and attributes, and his relation to the great universe. And from this, it is easy to deduce a further important truth, with a belief mention of which we may fittingly conclude this session. However wonderful we may consider the universe to be, we realize that neither in its substance nor in the laws by which its order is maintained. Insofar as an unaided reason can come to know them, does it exhaust house does it exhaust God's infinite power or perfectly reveal his nature? If then be it suggested that to supplement what philosophy teaches of himself and his purposes, God may be willing and favorable rational creatures with an immediate personal revelation, in which he adds the natural powers of reason by confirming what they already know, and by imparting to them what they could not otherwise know. It will be seen at once that a suggestion contains no impossibility. All that is required to realize it is that good should be able to communicate directly with the created mind, and that man should be able to recognize with sufficient certainty that the communication is really divine, and that both of these conditions are capable of being fulfilled, no test can logically deny. This being so, it will follow further that knowledge so often being guaranteed by the authority of him who is infinite truth is the most certain and reliable knowledge we can possess. Finally, each of us have to generate and certain the meaning by which that society functions. What's more, care or mystery of this universe is no longer something to be afraid of. It is an expression of the deep richness that lies within the order of the cosmos and our very lives. Here is my presentation. Thank you for listening. I wish you a good day. Thank you, Professor.